Welcome to At America, the U.S. Embassy's American Center. I am Andrea, and I will be your e-guide for this event. Today, we will be finding out how to ace your next TOEFL test and master the TOEFL, expert tips, and strategies. But before we start our event for today, I have a little trivia question for you to answer. Our question for today is, what does the acronym TOEFL stand for? Is it A, Test of English for Foreign Learners, B, Test of English as a Foreign Language, C, Teaching of English as a Foreign Language, or D, Test of English for Future Leaders? If you think you know the answer, you can submit your answer to our social media platforms, and the first person who is able to answer correctly will be receiving a shout out later in the very end of the event. So now I would like to pass the floor to our moderator for today. She is our Education USA advisor. Please welcome Kak May Latupono.
Thank you, Yayo. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming this Saturday morning and a long weekend. I really appreciate your enthusiasm to keep on studying. My name is May. I'm one of the Education USA advisor here at America. So before we continue with our wonderful event for today, I would like to introduce a little bit about Education USA, an advising network under the U.S. Department of State. We are here to help you guys to study in the US from the beginning until you prepare for your departure. So again, our service here basically to help you. We can help you review your applications if you have any questions, and to meet us. Don't worry, we are all around Indonesia. We have 2 centers here in Jakarta, here at America, and at the U.S. Embassy. We have 1 in Malang, Surabaya, Makassar, Samarinda, Medan, and Aceh. We have 10 advisors, and we are also available online. So you do not have to come directly to our centers. You can meet us by making an appointment there at calendly.com/educationusa Indonesia, or you can go through that barcode, and then you can book with any advisor anytime that is available there. So again, today we will also talk more about one of the most important part of your documents, which is your English proficiency test, and we're specifically going to talk about TOEFL. And today, join us all the way from Vietnam, our wonderful speaker for today, Chuong. The stage is yours. Sorry, Chuang, I think.
Hi,
Yes.
Hi, good morning, everyone. How are you this morning? I hope you're doing well in a very nice, it's a very nice Saturday here in Ho Chi Minh City. I hope the weather is the same in Jakarta, Indonesia, by the way. So before we start, I would love to introduce a little bit about myself. My name is Chuong. I'm based in Ho Chi Minh of Vietnam. So I work as a General Management Director for ETS, dedicated for TOEFL IBT. And thank you so much for Education USA, US Embassy, and American Center for collaborating and organizing such a beautiful and wonderful event today. And I hope that I'm sharing some of their general insights about TOEFL IBT and why TOEFL IBT is important for your journey, especially it's aligned with your American dream, where you want to start your journey in the US. So I would definitely start by sharing my presentation. So let me know if you see my screen for now.
In a few minutes. Yes, we can view it.
Cool, thank you. So I would start by talking a little bit about ETS. Just in case you never heard of ETS, but I'm sure. Can anyone just drop that? I'm not pretty sure whether people are jumping online. But ETS is the world's largest non-profit organization across the world, and we are doing education measurement and research organization. So over the last 70 years, ETS play as a leader in education assessment. I'm not pretty sure if you ever heard some other tests like TOEFL IBT or under TOEFL family, then we have lots of other assessment like GRE or TOEIC anyhow. So I'm sure it's very much popular and familiar with especially Asian international students, especially when you travel to the US. And across the world, we have more than 9,000 locations across 180 countries with the operation, and we also have 20,000 across the globe. So what does ETS do? I'm sure some of you might ask the question, why ETS involved in TOEFL IBT? So ETS is the organization behind TOEFL IBT, behind TOEIC and GRE. We also, the organization, developed SAT and GMAT before. Now we hand over to the owner, which are College Board. I'm sure you'll be aware of that. So over the last 70 years, what do? We published 700 publications. We invested a lot in the R&D. I'll share with you the R&D intel in a bit and why it matters to the English learner and the test takers as well, why it's important to all of you. I'll share some of the good updates about that. So the way we do is we invest in our technology, into our AI labs to learn more how we can make our tests more efficient and effective ways of assessing knowledge. That's how ETS does, and the ETS office is in the US. So I just want to share very quickly with you that TOEFL is the most trusted brand in China, Japan, and South Korea. If you go to these markets, then you would see that how TOEFL is strong and preferred in those markets anyway. So what is TOEFL IBT test? What does it stand for? I believe our coordinator mentions about the test, about this question. And it stands for, what does it stand for? It's a test of English for foreign language, internet-based test, okay? So the test including 4 different skills and very common compared to other tests as well, reading, listening, speaking, and writing. And it's accepted by more universities rather than any institution across the world. And I'll show you that data point a little bit later. And we can have the slogan, TOEFL empower you to make your mark on the world. Why TOEFL IBT? I'm sure you're asking this question, right? Why TOEFL IBT? Like some of the college made from Education USA said, this is one of the first important documentation before you put on your application to university, especially US university, right? You really need the TOEFL IBT as a documentation and why it's important, because TOEFL has been established for 60 years. That's so long history that you see lots of university in the US recognize TOEFL. Once it's remind of TOEFL, they know this is very trustworthy and popular test. So that's why your application gonna stand down with the application with the TOEFL IBT backup. Okay. So again, like I said, with the popularity, with the trust that we've been building in the last many decades, it really supports your journey to the US and also in Indonesia in case. Okay. So overall, I would want to give you some of the other, picture for you to see how TOEFL IBT is accepted and preferred worldwide. So if you look into North America, once I'm talking about North America, it means US and Canada, we are accepted by 100% of university here. But if we're only talking about US as a destination, we are preferred by 90% of US university. What does it mean? It means that majorities of US university prefer their test taker or their applicants to the university use TOEFL IBT. Why? We're going to talk about that in a bit, why they prefer TOEFL IBT rather than any other test. By the way, just to give you some other background, TOEFL IBT accepted by 13,000 institutions. if I can definitely share very quick backgrounds about the acceptance level for some other tests, you're going to see TOEFL is leading this by 13,000, where IELTS getting 11,000, Pearson 3,000, and Duolingo is 5,500 university acceptance. And also, I'm going to start the second presentation today by sharing with you the test format and features. In terms of test format, I'm not pretty sure if you are, I'm sure you're familiar with TOEFL, that you can definitely take the test either at the test center or home edition. So at the test center, we have more than 170 admin per year. And so it means that the test center happen every week in every city of Indonesia. I think we have more than 27 lab tests in Indonesia across the country. So you can approach any city, especially in Jakarta. There's quite a few test labs there that you can go to the test center in case you prefer that option. Otherwise, after COVID time, I'm sure you might recall the COVID time. No one is able to go out during COVID. That's why ETS has been developing the home edition version. It's been that they can stay home, use their own technology, and also take the test in their convenience. So the 24 hours a day, they can take any time they prefer. And also with the live remote proctor AI monitoring, we'll be able to support and also to ensure that the best security of the test anyhow. Also, given recently we have been update lots of functions about home edition to ensure that we support the test taker from Indonesia. I understand that with your internet bandwidth, there's a little bit issue with the accessibility, but we have been trying to sort those issues accordingly. So you can definitely take home edition as an option once you apply to US. Why? Because 100% of US university accept home edition. Okay, there's a few other test features snapshot. So I just want to ask you a quick question in case you can put on the chat if you can. How long is the test? How long is TOEFL IBT? What is your impressions about the length of the test? I'm not pretty sure if anyone be able to drop your answer in the chat box, but I think, let me check. So cool. Before 2023, the tests were 3 hours or 3 hours more. It's so long compared to other tests, right? But we did such a wonderful innovation in 2023 that we reduced the test length down to only 2 hours, even less than 2 hours. So it means that you can complete the test within just, maximum 2 hours, even your home or even you go to the test center. That's one thing. The second thing, upon you finish your test, you're going to get your unofficial reading and listening right away. The speaking and the writing would be recorded and provide the score in a few days later. I'll keep you posted about that. The fast score turnaround time, you're going to receive the official score day at the end of the test and get your score as soon as in 3 days to 4 days. In the past, that our turnaround time is 4 to 5 business days, but we recently launching our innovation for the TOEFL test, which is down to 3 business days. You're gonna get your test score. And also, we added the best score. We call it My Best Score to super score to show your best performance within a few time if you are taking TOEFL IBT. To showcase university, to showcase officer that you have the best score. I'll share with you how My Best Score works in your official report a little bit later. Okay, so this is the most important thing. I'm sure some of you might be really curious. What is the TOEFL IBT test format? We have four tasks included in the test: reading, listening, speaking, and writing. And why do university across US or any other destination prefer TOEFL IBT? For reading, there's a 2 reading passage including 20 questions. For listening, 3 lecture, 2 conversation, 28 questions. For speaking, it's 4 tasks, in 1 1 independent and 3 iterated tasks. I'll share with you what is it later. For writing, it's only 2 tasks, 1 iterated and 1 for academic discussion. That would add it up to less than 2 hours. Okay, now here we are for reading. So within the reading, then reading is going to assess how well you can read and understand the kind of materials used in the academic environment. There's a 2 reading passages. There are 8 questions for each of the passages, and the topic would vary, but prior knowledge of the topic is not needed. Anyhow, I see that lots of test takers feel like TOEFL reading is a challenging part because the topics are coming from an academic background. For example, they might present to you topics about psychology or some other academic topic like biology or some of the lecture or within your academic background. I'm not pretty sure if you have been following some of the recent announcements from ETS. We have been making one of the big moves within our reading and listening enhancement just yesterday. The enhancement allow test taker to take the reading and listening in the better way. What does it mean? It means that we are testing basic question into stage 1. Let's say you have 20 questions, right? And then 10 questions each. We might present to you the accessible question on the first stage. Allow you to answer those questions without too much challenge. And then another 5 questions within the first passage would be increasing the difficulty level. So in the past, we might asking challenging questions from the beginning. At some point, test taker might feel frustrated because they might not be able to answer those questions. They are in C2 or C1 level. When I'm talking C2 or C1, it's about the European Common Standard, the CEFR, if you are familiar with that standard, okay? So with the new enhancement, it would allow you to take I'm not saying it's going to be easier, but I'm saying you're going to take the very first question tailored to your ability of English, your English ability or capacity. And then answering more challenging question in the later step of that passage anyhow, okay? So even my presentation did not update that because this is really confidential conversation. We just did update it yesterday on public, and then I would love to share that with you, and I'm sure this is very exciting journey of TOEFL IBT announcement. For listening, I'm not pretty sure if any of you has tried to take TOEFL IBT listening before, but within the format, you're going to see we have 3 lectures. Some are the classroom discussion. So the lecture can talk about psychology or any topic that challenging topic in terms of academic learning. And then 2 conversations between 2 speakers. They can be involved a lecturer with a university student or might be a faculty staff with a student, for example. What we are going to innovate within the listening part would be the same with the reading. We are trying to give you the accessible question on the first day. Let's say you might not encounter with the difficult question from the beginning. No, we're gonna give you the tailored and more accessible questions from the beginning to your ability, to your capacity. so that you can complete the first part with not too much adding the complexity. But then we're going to put those complex questions to ensure that we can define your level of English proficiency in the second part of each of the section. So with the new format, we call it multi-stage adaptability. It means that it's going to be adapting to your English proficiency level. So I hope that this kind of update would give you more accessible to the TOEFL IBT listening and also reading. If you might ask me, what are the tips for listening? Because with the listening, you are not going to see the question from the beginning. No, you have to take notes. And then question gonna show once the lecture or the conversation ends. So you're supposed to practice your note-taking strategy. Note anything that you think is important that people might ask you in later steps. So note-taking is a very important strategy that you really need to take note. But bear in mind, note something important. Note something after an idea. For example, I'm going to present to you 3 tips today for taking listening more efficiently. Number 1 is note taking. Number 2 is write down key idea. Number 3, remember this and that. For example, you just need to remember very bullet points on the lecture. Do not note everything because you don't have time to do that. Okay. So again, for the listening part, I just want to recap a little bit. There's 5 tasks, including 3 lecture, 2 conversation. And also we're trying to apply multi-stage adaptability. We put on more accessible question from the beginning so that you are not going to feel frustrated once you see the question anymore. But you see the challenging question in the later step of each of the tasks. So that would give you more time, and also that would give you feel like the test is for you. The second thing, in the past, in terms of content, like I said, it's always about academic content like lecture in the classroom, like psychology, like economics, like math, or like agriculture, those type of topics. But now we are adding modern topics into the listening and reading. For example, we're adding on conversation between 2 peers. Peer here is means student to student. Because once you are studying in the US, I'm sure you might see your friend coming from Australia. You might see your friend coming from India or Indonesia or Vietnam. You're supposed to be familiar with their culture, with their accent. So we think it's very important for you to practice your English with your peers as well. At the same time with the lecture. So we're adding to peer-to-peer conversation. But what does it mean? It means that it's more realistic, and those type of content and material would be more realistic, more accessible to the test sector, especially people coming from Southeast Asia like Vietnamese or Indonesian. So I believe that it would be a plus for you to taking TOEFL listening. But those type of update would be go live from Jan 26. Okay. For now, no changes in the format, but we are going to provide you with the material in July so that you can prepare yourself for the test. Okay. Within the speaking, so if you ask me what is the most task I prefer within TOEFL, I would say speaking is the best test that I would prefer. I used to be the IL teacher for when I started my career a long time back, and I am a TOEFL learner. And also recently I work for TOEFL and ETS. I see this is one of the best things that I've been seeing in my life in terms of assessment. It's not because I'm working for TOEFL, I'm saying that, but because, you know why? Let's say, in reality, if you are having face-to-face conversation, how are you? What is your favorite color? How do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Yeah, that's good. It's called interaction. But in reality, let's imagine if you go to an American classroom in a lecture, is your lecturer going to ask you those type of questions? I believe they don't have time to ask you. They present a lecture, they talk a lot on the stage, like myself presenting right now. You don't have time to speak, right? So you're supposed to take note, am I right? And then you hear the conversation. And you might say, you might hear your teacher is talking about microeconomic or macroeconomic, or they might talk about the few way to save or to make your assessment better, or they talking different topics. Are you going to note down those things? Are you going to research on AIs about those type of knowledge just to understand more what your lecturer refer? So it means that you learn from different resources, not only from your lecturer, from AI, from newspaper, everything. And then once you have all resources, you are asked to present in front of the class or in front of your peer or classmate. You need to put it in the best logical way to respond. So it's very the same with TOEFL speaking. You are not going to speak to the face-to-face person or examiner. You are going to respond to the computer. You respond to the laptop, and it's gonna save it and send to ETS. The human grader and also AI gonna jump into and score and mark your speaking section to ensure the best scoring and unbiased. Unlike from other tests, it's only one source of grader, either AI or human grader. I'm not sure whether they gonna mark you on the best score or unbiased scoring. But at ETS, we have both combination of human graders and also AI to ensure that we give you the best and unbiased score. So, and again, in order to perform the speaking test well, you really need to have some of the strategy while you are taking the speaking section. First of all, you have to listen well and take note. What are the key ideas? You might listen to the lecture or the conversation for a minute to 2 minutes. They might talking about a topic. You need to take note some idea. They present to you a short passage that you're supposed to read. Okay. And also you have 30 to 45 seconds to think or to prepare. And then 45 to 60 seconds to speak to the computer. And why does it important? Because in reality, once you go to the classroom, it's the same skill. Once you go to work, it's gonna be the same skill. Your boss is not asking you follow-up question. Your boss is talking a lot, and then you need to take note. You might read on the report, and then finally he asks, "How do you think?" And you present it to him your idea. So it's supposed to be logical, critical, and also how you solve the problem. Okay, I would like to present to you one of the example of the speaking section, but maybe right now I'll stop sharing and I'll share another example. So here, let me know if you'll be able to see my screen. Okay.
I guess you can make it full screen because we can see
Okay,
it now.
cool.
Yes.
So this is gonna be a scenario. Okay. You are going to you're gonna read the short event description, then you're gonna listen to the reported, and finally you need to present the solution. And here it is. You are going to read. The International Student Club is hosting a cultural exchange night this Friday at 7 p.m. in the Student Center Ballroom. The event features a guest speaker, live performance, and free food. It's open to all students, and the goal is to celebrate cultural diversity on campus. And this is the listening part. You're supposed to hear this. Hello, team. We have a big problem. The student center ballroom was double booked, and we can't use it anymore. Also, our guest speaker canceled because of the last minute conflict. Plus, not many students knows about the event. We might have a small turndown. We need to fix the issue quickly. What should we do? So this is gonna be the part in the speaking section of TOEFL IBT I prefer the most because it's gonna give you. It not only is about language. It's also about how you solve issue in daily life and how you prepare yourself with the tasks and the challenges in your life and things like that. So it's very good example for you to see why TOEFL IBT speaking in the best start that I prefer. And it's not also myself, but I'm sure institution would for the test. I would like to check if any one of you here, might be student, can unmute and present yourself in a minute about this topic. Okay, so if you ask me, this is going to be a very recommended, good TOEFL answer. To solve the issue, we need to move the event to the library or auditorium, which is available. Since our speaker canceled, we could ask for a professor or student leader to step in. To increase the attendance, we can promote the event on social media and send an email blast to all students. You see, this is just less than a minute, but it showcases your critical thinking. You don't need to speak too much in terms of language fancy. What do I mean by language fancy? Unlike from other tests, you need to be learning lots of complex words so that you get the best score. But for TOEFL IBT, you don't really need to do that as long as your language is sufficient enough, your language is correct, you provided the complex structure in your language anyhow, you get the best score for TOEFL IBT. Because TOEFL do not just only assess your capacity of language use by using too many words, but in reality, you might not use it anyhow, right? But we try to test how you use your critical thinking, your logical thinking in presenting a solution. So you see, this is not only for your study, not only for a test. The test is not just for the test, but it gives you the skill. It prepares you for the skill set to adapt into your academic learning and also for your future when you study to work. You need to solve the issue. Okay? Why I'm presenting this to you? Because here are the key skills for career success. I presented to you earlier. ETS did a very amazing research recently in the last couple of months. We launched out the report called 2025 Human Progress Report, including 18 countries. And among those 18 countries, there's a good thing. There are Indonesian and Vietnamese students participated in that research. And the research showed that there's a few important skills that future employer and also university would prefer or would want to see from their employee. And those skills are critical thinking, problem solving, adaptability, communication and collaboration, global mindset, and finally a digital and technical proficiency. And you see that critical thinking, problem solving is something that we put on our test. We come back, revise our test to give you, at least the sense how this could be in your life or how it would be in your study at university. So that would meant for this task. Okay. One other task within TOEFL IBT, then this is another example for you to see. You are studying in a US university. Your teacher asks you to present some idea how to create a video on TikTok or social media. Your English needs to be clear, persuasive and professional. This is another task within speaking. They are not asking you simple questions like, how are you? What is your favorite color? They are technically asking you to build your presentation skill, your confidence, and also your persuasive. At the end of the day, those kind of skills are very popular. When you step into university, you're supposed to present yourself in front of the classes, in front of everyone. And those skills gonna follow you to the future. And I'm sure the two examples of problem solving, of public speaking, and presenting yourself in front of people are very important. If you see myself now, I'm presenting to people in different countries, present myself in front of lots of people. It's a skill that I did practice during my university. And taking Toefl would give you that confidence, would give you that, preparation for you to prepare and also to enhance your skill for the future. Okay. All right. I'll come back to on writing. So we just talked about the speaking section. Now we are talking on the writing section. With the writing section, we have two tasks. One is iterated writing, 20 minutes for iterated writing. What does it mean? Once I'm talking about iteration skill or iterated writing or iterative speaking, it do mean that you need to listen to a short lecture, read a passage, and then write in your own work about how do you think, what do you feel about the idea in both resources. Again, in your daily life, don't you agree with me that you cannot just write something, but you have to observe knowledge from people who they speak, or you hear from different resources, might be on the internet, on TV, on YouTube, and then you need to read to verify the information whether it's true or not. And then you're gonna need to show your logical in the way you present in the writing section. The second part of the writing is the academic discussion. In 10 minutes, stay and support your opinion for an online classroom discussion, for example. That would be another task. And I want to give you a very good news. With the recent enhancement from ETS, which was published yesterday, there's a few enhancements for writing and speaking. For writing and speaking, we are adding more modernized questions. For writing, we are asking you to write emails. So some of the tasks would involve email, all right? And I'm sure writing email is very popular to student, university student, and also with employees as well. So you really need to practice and improve your emailing skills. Okay, here is the professional, here is the skill score range for you to prefer: reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Each of the part would be 30 score. So overall, the total score is 120. And then another important update we never public anywhere, just today. This is the first section I'm talking about this topic, this update. We are going to make a new enhancement in our score range. We move from 120 down to 6. So the new band score is 6, 1 to 6. But don't worry, the 120 will be with you together with the band 6 in 2 years. So it means that university would see both band at the same time. But why do we make that enhancement? Because we believe that with band 1 to 6, it would be so much more easier for university or policy maker to recognize when they should take Toefl at band 6 or band 4 or band 5. And also it's very easier for us to align with the CEFR, the European Common Framework of English Proficiency. here for you to see the current structure of TOEFL IBT scale in equivalent to IELTS. So I'm sure majorities of university in the US are accepting IELTS 6.5, so it's equivalent to 79. So lots of university in the US accept TOEFL from 77 and then also 79. Some of them accepting 80 to 81. Some of other high-ranking university would prefer 7.0. It's equivalent 94 to 100. That would be needed to be accepted in those university. So I'm moving to the test prep and practice resources as well. There are quite a few test prep that we are put on our registration or on the website that you can definitely practice, that you can purchase practice tests, you can do your personalized study plan, and also you can work on the mock test and the section test within the student portal. So this is the new application that we put on phone. You can download it from iOS or Android. It's going to provide you with personalized learning experience with the AI coach, giving you tailored guidance and support. Some of the sections are for free. Some of them are for sales. And also, my recommendation, if you would like to study TOEFL IBT journey, search the keyword 40-minute sample test. You just need to register very simply and then also try the test within 40 minutes to see how's the test look like. What do the test look like? Is it challenging like you think? So at least you have a sense of how TOEFL IBT format and plan from there. This is the free sample test. There are lots of other material and also guidebook on our TOEFL website as well. You can definitely search it and practice yourself. Okay, I would love to give you a very quick guidance on how to register the test. You just need to create your own account and then visit the website, select the test location. You can either pick home edition or test center. Pick a day and a time and complete your registration and payment. Today, I will give you a code. If you are coming from Education USA event, I'll give you the code, and that code would value for 15% discount. So I would love to share with you some of the requirements once you are doing at home or either you do at the test center. What is the preparation for you? So there are a few important requirements before you register to make sure that you check your ID requirement for your country. And also during the test day and registration, you must present the same name that appears on your primary ID, okay? You must bring your ID to the test day, either home or test center. It's very important. Here are the list of what you need to expect on the test day. At the at-home version, checking show your ID valid, security inspection using your webcam, use your own computer, webcam, microphone, and speaker. Ask the proctor for hand. They're going to be a live proctor to support you if you are doing at home. At the test center, it's gonna be the same. You're gonna have to bring the valid ID with you, and there would be the security inspection by the test center staff, and they're gonna provide you the computer and headset once the test is started. And there's a proctor is there to support you along the testing journey. So it's not very challenging, but again, just a reminder that you need to make sure that you have your own ID, and the ID is the same for registration and also the date you show up either at test center or at home. At the end of the test, you're gonna see your reading and listening score, just to see your early indication of your performance. but we're going to publish your official report within 4 to 5 business day, and then that's going to be reduced to 3 business day in a couple of months later. Okay, just for you to learn more how your test is scored. With reading and listening, it's scored by computer. With speaking and writing, like I mentioned earlier, it's a combination between human raters and also AI. I want to show you what is the best score look like. This is the best score. If you see, if you are taking the test more than 2 times, we have the function called my best score. My best score would allow you to showcase your best score in a few test times. And right now, our team in destination working with institution to ensure that they accept or they consider the best score. What does it mean? Let's say the entry requirement for the university is 85, but you only achieve 83 at that time, but your best score is 86. Some of the university would consider 86 as your best score, and then they would accept you into the university. So that the meaning of my best score. And then you make sure that before you register, you need to also send your score, you register your university so that TOEFL can support you sending full report for free. Here is the last part of the section today. I'll be quickly share with you some of the test prep available on your account or on your website. You can definitely get some of the free test prep, or you purchase any mock test if you would like to do more on TOEFL IBT, and this is how they're gonna give you insight how you should prepare yourself or how you should improve yourself. They're gonna give you very insightful details so that you improve each of the tasks that you're preparing. And then also follow our TOEFL social media, either website or either social media, to learn more about TOEFL. There's a lot of tip sharing and also updates about TOEFL and how we are going to support you across the journey. And again, like I said, I would like to give you the last comment. TOEFL is beyond a test. We are not see ourselves as a test. We see ourselves as something for you just to start your journey, study in the USA or anywhere else, even in Jakarta. But of course, you're going to see how the test prepare you with problem-solving skill. Once you enter to the US, you might see, how can I navigate to the lunch, or how I navigate to the parking, or what are the problems coming? How do I solve the problem in my reality? So the test gonna give you lots of practice and lots of questions in the same way. It guides you how you improve your problem solving, your communication, your confidence, and your presentation skill. Those skills are needed and beyond the test. What do I mean by beyond the test? It means you only need the test to be accepted everywhere. You don't need to get maximum score of the test. But the skill integrated in the test would be follow you for the rest of your life. And it's very important you have those skills, because right now, employer and also people across the world would be evaluate people based on skill, based on your credential. So knowledge is important, but skill is necessary for your life and for your success. So my recommendation, start to think and start to learn TOEFL as a requirement for you to step into the US. And I think that would be the end of my presentation. Now open to any question or anything to discuss further.
Thank you, Chuong. Please give applause for Chuong for the wonderful presentations. It was very, very insightful. I remember I took my TOEFL test in 2020, and I guess it's now very different. So I learned so much from the sessions as well. Okay, everyone, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand, and then we will pass over the microphone to you, and please introduce yourself. Anyone? Can someone help me? There's a questions from this side.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation. I really appreciate it. My name is Samara, and as you mentioned before, that the TOEFL test is like a lifelong benefit for us. That when I prepare to it, I enhance my critical thinking, my problem solving, and my communication. But when it comes to the real test, when I do the real IBT test, it feels like I got easily overwhelmed because of my mentality. I have to be stable so I can answer all the questions, and I have to communicate clearly to the computer and to the proctor when I needed help. So what I want to ask here is there any tips from you on how to be mentally stable when I do the IBT test and how to be consistent and not easily panicking? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. It's a wonderful question, you know, it's a valid question. I understand. I guess that you are referring to the speaking section, right?
Yes.
So I think that's a good question. Like I said, in order to perform the test well, you need to keep practice and practice. There would be some format if you follow any internet or on our website. There's a lot of recommendation on how you perform speaking task well. But again, logical is something you can learn, not only for example, the task is going to ask you, how do you think about online classes? For example, you can share your own idea. Let's say, I do support online classes for 3 reasons. Number 1, because wherever you are in the world, you can definitely join and practice without any barrier in terms of geographical, right? The second thing is, so that's the way you show your logical 1 through 3. In each of the idea, you share your reasoning why you think it's important. So again, you need to have some framework to ensure that you are logical and reasonable at some point. And like I said, practice makes perfect. And the TOEFL test, I understand whether timing can be a pressure at some point, but once you do practice, you can definitely getting some of the speaking section practice on our website. Practice, you have more time to think. Once you are familiar with the test, you could be doing that right. So again, that's a 2 tip. Practice more. The second tip, that you need to frame. You need to study some of the frame to ensure that you are logical enough. Like I said, 1 through 3, that would be the frame for you to present something. And also, you don't need to make it long. For example, they are asking you a question to solve an issue. You need to understand, identify what are the issues in the question, and then also you just need to present very clearly how you're going to solve that issue, why you are going to solve that issue, and sum that up. That's good enough. You don't need to make too long. And you see one of the examples that I shared earlier in the presentation. To solve the problem, we need to do this because, and in order to increase the attendance, we send email. That's just it. You see the logic in TOEFL IBT. Okay?
Is that answers your question? Yes. I mean, yeah, being nervous during the test day is a real thing. It happens to everyone. So I guess like knowing that you have to prepare far away from the D-day of the test would be also very beneficial. That is a very good insight, Chuong. I learned, yeah, I think it's very also important like to prepare yourself during the test day, right? Okay, any more questions from that side probably? Yes. Please state your name.
Hello, my name is Luis. I want to ask one question here. Maybe, Mr. Chuang, can you give your point of view? What is the best time to take retest? Is it possible to get a 10, up to 10 score from the previous score for in 1 month? Or maybe we need to more duration for study to get a next test? Thank you.
Sorry, just to clarify your question, when is the best time for you to retake the test, especially when you improve 10 bang in the score? Is that right? Is that your question?
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. I think 10 within, let's say here is the band score 120. I'm giving you an example. If you would like to improve from 70 to 80, I don't think that would be very far gap for you to achieve. Maybe on the first time you're nervous, you're not familiar with the test format, but once you are familiar with that already, 80 within your hand. So I believe a month would be enough. There's no frame or there's no specific time frame that you can or you should, but I think a month or at least 2 months would give you some time to practice and improve. And you need to work on very good strategy. What are the skills needed for you to improve? For example, work hour plan. In order to achieve 80, what are the skills needed? Let's say you are not doing well for reading and listening in the previous task. Speaking and writing, you do okay. So in order to enhance your score or improve your score, you really need to focus on two sections, which are reading and listening, right? So focus your time on that two tasks. Practice more. You can purchase some of the section tests, practice online, and do it every day. One day you do one or two tasks. Today, you might take some time to study some of the new words, things like that. But later, do not pause it. Try to do within the time limit so that you're familiar with the pressure from the timing, and then check out what are the score you have on every day. That would give you lots of improvement along the way. And I believe from 70 to 80 would be okay within a month. But really depends. It really depends on scoring. Let's say if you would like to get from 100 to 110, I think that would be another gap, because it's a more challenging part for you to get into C2 level from C1. So 110 is already in C2 level compared to CEFR. Okay, so I hope that it would be very general response to you.
Okay. Yes, thank you so much. I guess I also have a questions about the best score thing, because like in my understanding that means that you have to take more than one test to have, like different or probably like best scores, right? Yeah. So do you have any recommendations, like when should students get another test after the first test? Does that include, for example, like another week or another month? So when is the best time?
Yeah, I think I just mentioned a little bit earlier. I don't see why you limit in terms of the framework, but it's more about how you prepare yourself. So again, let's say the first time you only get 70, you need to define, you need to work on the strategy, what are the skills you need to improve, and you can be able to get the better score. So that's the first thing. Second thing, you need to practice until you feel like you're so much more confident with those skills. You do the test with better score from the mock test, you can definitely avoid for the second test. But from my experience, I think a month or 2 months would be good enough for you to retake. If the gap is not that big. For example, you achieve 70 and your goal, your target score is 80. So 1 to 2 months would be ideal. But if you would like to do much more than that, it took more time.
Okay, does that mean like
a few months?
Okay, does that mean like a year? Could they do that after a year?
I think this is not easy question to answer. It really depends how much time you invested in your learning, and also how often you practice the test. Like I said, practice would make perfect, and you're gonna learn a new skill every day, and how you adapt to the test. So again, I don't think a year would be something would not be that long. Once you achieve at around 80, you should be able to enhance to 100 within a few months if you really focus and did lots of practice together. Also, I see some of the question in the chat. Would you as well?
Yes. So yeah, we have a questions from Zoom. There's Ruth on Zoom. She asked, the first question is like how to increase your TOEFL score, especially in logical thinking, and the second one is how to improve your speaking and writing, with just no book can help. Is there any discounted price for checking this? I guess like, is it like a prediction test probably?
Okay, so the first question is how to improve logical thinking, is that right?
Correct. Yes.
So that's a good question. I think it's a very important question for everyone. So my recommendation for overall, so train your academic brain, analyze, compare, and argument structure. For example, it's not only for speaking and writing, but it also for reading and listening. You ask yourself, why the speaker say this? What's the author main point? Does this example actually support the argument? So try to ask yourself those questions. Okay? Once you ask yourself a question, you might have a few ideas why. That's the first thing. Once it's applied to the speaking, organize your thoughts logically. For example, you use a consistent structure. First one, state your point. Second one, give two clear reasons. I'm giving you an example. To solve the problem that the room is occupied and the speaker cancel at last minute and not many one knowing the event. Is it state the point? Is it the issue? Right? You need to present the issue first. And then give two clear reasons or maybe solution. First of all, we need to find another room. We also invite another speaker within possible timing or if they can present about the topic. And then also support each with an example. That's how you are going to improve your logical thinking. And, you know, like I said, TOEFL is not going to test you with the complexity of what you are going to say, but it's more about it tests you how you put your presentation or your speak in the most logical and critical way. And that would be another example. If you ask me for the writing, build your argument-based essay. What does it mean? What does it mean? It means that both essay for both iterated and independent section would require you to have a clear logical flow. Each of the photograph one idea. Each of the idea you need to have a claim plus with the support idea. Okay. For example, you need to, let's say you need to connect the idea. For example, the author in the listening saying that climate change is really important for young people to invest their time to support the project, whereas university lecturers think that students should invest their time in learning, for example. That would be the way you present your topic. And then second point, you need to tell what do you support and why. I would personally think as a young people, we would really need to invest or we really need to put our effort, time in society because, first of all, second, it's the way you build your structure. And it's always like that. You present your idea, you tell how you feel, and then you give reason 1, 2, 3. And then you sum up. So finally, I think it's crucial, it's important for young people to do this or to do that, right? Again, like I said, TOEFL is not going to test you something with the complexity of your wording or your vocabulary, unlike other tests. You don't need to learn too many complex words. But we're trying to see and understand your logic put on the test, and that's very important skill for your future. Okay? I hope that I answer your question, Ruth. Okay, cool.
Perfect. I guess to get to that, to be more organized over the time, like you need a lot of practice, like practice, practice, practice every time. And then you also shared resources from the website, from the ETS website. But is there also any other resource, or like, do you also recommend students to take tutoring lessons?
That's a very good question. My recommendation, so I'll show you some of the material right now, but my recommendation is if your English proficiency is not very strong, you should go to a few test prep center. I can definitely recommend a few in Indonesia. At the moment, we see some of the online training center. I can recommend to American center so that American center may be If you think you might have some capacity and your background's already, you just need to practice the test. I can share with you right now. I can share with you right now. Sorry, give me 1 second. I can share with you this website.
Yes, please take your time.
So this is the this is our homepage for this is our homepage for a TOEFL, and this is you need to have your own account. Once you have your own account already, this is for you. You register your test here. This is you buy test rep, right? If you would like to buy some test rep, it's available here. I also have the code for you to buy the test rep with some discount. And you go to the view test ready. This is your own part. Some of the tests are for free. You can practice from here. Create your own account and go to test ready. Some of the tests are, available for you. Download your study plan is here, and also you see free for you. They're gonna give you some of the free tests. You see that I have been doing some of the tests here. Free section practice sampler, for example. There are reading, speaking section. I want to start with you. There's a question for you to start to record. They're gonna mark you and give you insight. So I think you can definitely, take your time to download, and there's quite of the free. Unless you want to buy the mock test, it's available in the account as well. But also there's a free materials in your account.
That is very helpful because like free and accessible is like for everyone, and everyone would be happy to get it for free, and also easier for them to study at home. Any more questions from our audience on site? Not yet. I guess I do have some questions. I guess it's more about the specific requirements for example, like students with disabilities. I know that probably like wearing hearing aid. Is there any specific requirements for those kind of students? And if yes, how do they, or like able to get help for doing the test?
Thank you for asking that question. I think with a student with a disability is unable to take the standard test, we might be able to offer accommodation to ensure the equal access to disabled disability students. So based on our policy, accommodation for test taker with disability or health-related need, we also have that. So we would have appropriate accommodation for physical disability or learning disability, and you can definitely put on the request and submit the documentation to prove and get approval from ETS for disability services before registering. And there's a few types of accommodation available. For example, extended testing time, or extra pracs, or screen magnification, or sign language interpreter, or lip reader, or human reader, or sprite, or separate testing room, or special equipment. So those type of accommodations are available for for disabled people. So in case you have any want or need help, just let us know. You can email us before the registration so that we can support with the accommodations.
Okay, so before the registration, instead of before choosing the date of the test.
Yeah, so you create an ETS account, you submit a request for TOEFL accommodation request form. I'll put it here for you in the chat, and then wait for approval. Normally it takes some time, and you know it's gonna take around a few weeks to be approved. Sorry, give me 1 second. I'll pause it here for you. So yeah, this is going to be the step that I put in the chart. That provide the first one, you need to submit your application, provide the medical or documentation in English, and then also wait for the approval. We're going to come back to you how we are going to accommodate that and in what form based on the documentation you provided into the registration form.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Anyone else? If not, then maybe I have one last question for this session. So, what is the common mistake students make in taking the test? And how to avoid them?
So what is the common mistake in a specific, task or
Yeah, and
or just overall?
I guess specifically in the test and also overall.
Okay. So I think one of the common mistakes, I'll divide it into section by section and skill by skill. So when it comes to reading, one of the mistakes that they are reading too slowly or trying to understand every word. So within the time pressure, you can't read that way, and you cannot answer. You don't have time enough to answer later questions. So make sure that you're reading, you skim and you scan to ensure you can answer any question within the time limit. So again, the mistake is don't spend too much time to understand everything. You don't need to understand everything to answer the question. That's the first thing. In the listening part, there's a few common mistakes. For example, they are taking very messy notes and writing too much. Like I mentioned earlier in the writing section, if you are listening to the lecture of 5 minutes, some of the students have the tendency to take notes that, for example, they take not unnecessary words. People are not going to ask about these words. They're going to ask about key idea. For example, if they are talking about the benefits of taking medicine, you just need to take note. What are the benefits? I'm sure they're going to ask you questions about what are the benefits of taking medicine, for example. They are not going to ask you some of the words like, for example, therefore, things like that. You don't need to know these kind of words, where lots of students trying to know anything they can hear. So that's not going to be the wise strategy once you are taking note-taking for listening part. With the speaking, and again, some of them are speaking too slowly or hesitating too much, because one of the key area we are marking students or scoring students that with a speed rate. It means how fast or how stable while you are speaking without hesitation, with things like that. Lots of students are making lots of hesitation or pause in between their speaking. So again, it would not give them the ideal score that they want. For writing, there's lots of mistakes for writing, I'm sure, but they have weak thesis and unclear opinion. Like I mentioned earlier, they ask you to share your own opinions about something, but you don't show your opinion from the beginning and support with key idea. And then how to fix it? You need to say, I strongly believe that studying online is more effective than in-person learning because 1, 2. Okay? that would be something you show your strong ideas about any opinion. Let's come back to the speaking. Instead of speaking too slow or too much hesitation, you practice with the timer, focus on the flow and confidence, not perfection. Even with 1 or 2 speaking templates can boost you with your fluency. Or also trying to make your speaking fluent with not too much pause. When you pause, you practice again until you feel like you are fluent enough. There's no perfect. Sometimes you pause it, but you need to make sure that you are natural. Sometimes you see in my speaking, then I did not. I pause for some time, but once I pause, I'm trying to make it in the best natural way. So test taker feel like this is natural speaking. It's not pausing or hesitating, or maybe he's buying time to think anything. So that's a few common mistakes and how you're gonna fix it for the 4 skills. I hope that it's gonna give you a very general pictures of how test taker make mistakes during TOEFL IBT.
Wow, that is very meticulous. I think we need to hear that specific mistakes that we usually made for the every test. Okay, Chuong, thank you so much. I hope these sessions can help our students to prepare themselves for the TOEFL test that they are taking. Again, I cannot thank you enough for joining us in Saturday morning. I know this is your weekend. Thank you again. Okay, so if anyone else have no more questions, I guess I'll wrap this up. So please, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to Education USA advisors. And for preparing your TOEFL test, I guess prepare, and prepare. I give it back to Andrea. Thank you so much and good morning.
Okay, thank you so much, Kabe, and thank you so much to our speaker for today's session. I hope everyone learned something new today. And earlier, before this event started, I asked a little trivia question, which was, what does the acronym TOEFL stand for? And the answer is B, Test of English as a Foreign Language. Congratulations to Tisu Harso from YouTube for answering the question correctly. And if you find today's event fun, please consider following us on our social media. We are on Instagram, X, and Facebook at AT America. And we also have newsletter and YouTube channel as well, so please consider subscribing to that. And with that, we have reached the very end of today's session, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today, and see you at the next AT America event. Bye-bye! Thank you, everyone.